Hey everybody, welcome back. Northernlion plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. 16 wins in a row. We're going for 17 again, starring Matthew Perry. Oh, we don't know how much HP we have. PKE2 D161. Definitely want to use the D8. It was a good roll because we got tiers up. We did lose some speed. That could be pretty nasty early on. And we did lose a little damage. Not much, but a little. How about that? That's more like it right there. The speed up is going to help us out a ton. But yeah, I guess I shouldn't reference the film 17 again, because I've never seen it. But as I understand it, it's one of that, the classic trope, if you will. You know, person wishes that they were young again, or like, you know, a Freaky Friday sort of situation. They either time travel or body switching. You know what I'm talking about. Freaky Friday, big, 17 again. There's more than 3, but 3 is all it takes to make a trope, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a culture scientist, but it's just, you know, one... don't do that. Don't just walk into the enemy there, because you don't know how much HP you have. I think we got a D8 reroll off of the cursed dice, which is really weird, but that's very helpful. We do have 1.75 damage. That would explain why it's taking me a long time to kill enemies. I'm very happy to have gotten Mom's wig, though. Anyway, what's going on? I don't know. I was just thinking about Matthew Perry, dude. You ever think it's weird how Matthew Perry was like incredible? Oh, this is really good, except our speed is horrible. Crazy stats. No, we can do better. Crazy attributes. This is horrible! Okay, that reference did not last as long as I wanted it to, but I'm still trying to make it happen. I am, and I'm not ashamed of it much. You ever think it's wild how Matthew Perry was at one point probably, like, tied for first in highest paid television actors, yet never managed to make a film career happen? You know, his most successful movie, to the best of my knowledge, is The Whole 9 Yards, which... You know, really, he's fine in The Whole 9 Yards, don't get me wrong, but really, that's kind of like the Bruce Willis show. Oh, that's real good, dude. I don't know if we want to re-roll that. And then on top of that, you know, one of the reasons I don't really like to talk about The Whole 9 Yards is because it led to the existence of the movie The Whole 10 Yards, which is truly cursed. Just an absolute, you know, wet fart of a film. Mostly because Whole 9 Yards, Michael Clarke Duncan. Whole 10 Yards, no Michael Clarke Duncan. What gives? Well, he did die in the first movie. Anyway, what was I talking about? I don't know. I think I've seen The Whole 9 Yards like 23 times. It's just one of those movies that, like, in the late 90s or the early... It's probably early 2000s, but in the early 2000s, it was just constantly on. I haven't seen it in probably 17 years. I bet if it was on TV today, I would be able to quote, like, almost the whole movie. Anyway, that's The Whole 9 Yards. I can't even think of many other things Matthew Perry's even been in. Could I be in any less movies? I know he was in Serving Sarah, the movie where he plays a process server who is trying to serve Elizabeth Hurley, but she's, like, unservable. This is a real tough one for me. So I think we might want the invincibility, but our speed... I mean, if speed is the only problem, then I think we're happy. Let's leave it at that. I think that we're happy to get rid of the D8 here. Not happy, but, you know, content. I mean, our stats in every other department are so much better now. I gotta imagine that his highest grossing movie is The Whole 9 Yards, though. I guess that kind of goes for everybody from Friends, though, except for, like, if you were ranking the actors and actresses from Friends, the main cast, in terms of success, there's no doubt, like, and, you know, agree to disagree maybe, but I feel like Jennifer Aniston is by far the most successful, right? She has her own... She's been in Friends. She was arguably, like, one of the absolute #1 top draws on Friends. She was also in Leprechaun. That's true. She was the damsel in distress in the first Leprechaun film. Never forget it. she's got the... Oh, I mean, this is where we want to go. She's got the Aveeno lotion ads, which you got to be bringing in stuff. She was in the movie The Mexican, starring her then beau, Brad Pitt. She was in Office Space. You might laugh at this. She was in Horrible Bosses. Look, Horrible Bosses, you know, might not necessarily be remembered as, like, you know, the greatest comedy of all time. It did gross more than $100 million at the box office in 2011, so, you know, she's got some pedigree. I would have to suggest that probably coming in second. It's tough. I think you would probably give it to Courtney Cox Arquette. Might work on my phrasing there. She was in the show Cougar Town. She's also been in some movies, such as the movie 3,000 Miles to Graceland, the movie about Elvis impersonators who also rob casinos, starring Kurt Russell. And I can just go on and on and on. So I don't know. I mean, I think you'd probably give it to Courtney Cox Arquette. But Lisa Kudrow would probably be you know, in contention as well. You know, she's been on some shows recently that I don't know the names of. She was in movies like Michelle and Romy's high school reunion or whatever the movie was, because she's been in some stuff. Now, Matt LeBlanc, who played Joey, kind of an interesting one, right? Very famous for Friends. Also was the friend who got his own spin-off afterwards, named Joey, eponymously named, if you will. And you might forget he actually did have some film roles. For example, he had a starring role in the 1998 Lost in Space adaptation. Opposite, which is absurd to me, Gary Oldman playing Mr. Smith or whatever the heck, the Dr. Ben Carson? I don't know who it is. Forget his name. Regardless. Gary Oldman's in that, believe it or not. What was I talking about? Sorry, I blacked out for 7 minutes and 9 seconds there. I think we'll just leave. I mean, we're kind of cruising for now. Why not? So I mean, I think what I'm trying to say is that I believe in my heart of hearts, I believe all three of the female leads from Friends. I know you're like, when is he going to stop talking about this? I haven't decided yet. It might be the whole episode if it keeps going well. All three of the female leads, I believe, have had more successful careers, at least in terms of legacy, than any of the male leads from Friends. Amongst the male leads from Friends, I don't know, man. I feel like it's a toss-up. Oh, yes. And it's kind of a three-way toss-up. Like Matthew Perry, who played Chandler Bing, was the series lead in Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, was unfortunately kind of killed by the Writers Guild of America strike, you know, back in 2007. And he's also had some starring roles in films that never really took off, but that's okay. Joey Tribbiani, a.k.a. Matt LeBlanc, kind of very briefly a film heartthrob in the late 1990s, but never really went anywhere following that, but, you know, seems like a nice guy. He's also in another movie. What movie is he in? Josie and the Pussycats or Charlie's Angels? I think Matt LeBlanc might be in Charlie's Angels. I remember seeing him in something else once, but it's been a long time. And then you might be saying, what about David Schwimmer? He hasn't been in anything. Excuse you, he's in one of the best miniseries of all time, Band of Brothers. I mean, that was like the year 2000, but, you know, nobody forgets Kurahi. He's also in a season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's got another show right now that, you know, it doesn't look that good to me, but what do I know? I don't watch that much television, as you can tell by this. There you go. That's my thoughts on Friends. I watched a lot of Friends growing up. I don't consider the show very good. But, you know, if you like it, more power to you. I think it's one of those shows that's easy to watch. You know, I'm not going to insult somebody for watching Friends when, well, for two reasons. One is I watched 2 episodes of My Strange Addiction today. Watched a little bit about a young lady. Well, she's not young. She's like a year older than me, but she was addicted to smelling Pine Sol cleaner, you know, like the floor cleaner. And, of course, you know, she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, you know, that's poison, right? She's like, the episode, every single one of those episodes, I hate to say it, ends with the same text, which is like, Lauren decided not to continue going to therapy. And you're like, You know, I really thought she had this one in the bag. I really thought when the doctor said, "Hey, stop smelling poison," 75 times a day, she was going to be like, "I just didn't know." But anyway, the other reason is if you're watching Friends on Netflix or something, I can't really front because, you know, we were gathering around our 45-kilogram television set with a 19-inch screen Thursday nights at like 7 p.m. to watch the premiere of Friends. I remember in like the finale happened in like 2004 or 2000. It was probably 2004. One of my friends was like, "Did you cry when you watched it?" I was like, I didn't at the time because I still, you know, as I've mentioned many times, the older I get, the more emotional I get. At that point in my life, I was still kind of closed off, probably from playing way too many online first-person shooters, and I didn't, but I kind of wanted to when I watched it. Because, you know, you're saying goodbye to, you know, some characters that were very friendly. It's almost like they were surrogate friends. I was in the pool! No, that's Seinfeld, sorry. My mistake. That one's Seinfeld. Now, who's had the most successful post-Seinfeld career? I'll tell you, not Michael Richards. That's one I'm willing to sign off on. I think that's... I don't know what the right answer is, but I know that Michael Richards would be the wrong answer. It's probably... I don't know, man. I mean, what would you say? Jerry Seinfeld... I know the controversy surrounding Jerry, but I gotta tell you, to be worth, you know, $700 million or whatever, and have a show that is basically like, hey, the funniest people on earth all want to talk to me because I'm incredibly famous and successful. Let's, I don't know, we're gonna rent like one of the most expensive cars in the world, drive to a cool coffee shop, and just crack jokes at one another. That seems like a cool existence. Like, I don't know how many people actually watch comedians in cars, pardon me, getting coffee. But I have a feeling that it really doesn't matter that much to Jerry Seinfeld either way. I mean, he's probably like, well, you guys were filming that? That was just Tuesday. But I mean, Julia Louis-Dreyfus originally, you know, she played Elaine. Maybe didn't have that robust of a post-Seinfeld career, but you know, a little bit of a more recent turn with Veep, and also co-starring in the movie Downhill with Will Ferrell. Although I heard that it's not, you know, that good. So be it. You know, work's work, right? By the way, if you're watching this episode with someone who's not aware of who I am, they're probably asking some questions, like, when does he get to the part that's compelling? This is pretty much it. This is just what it's like. If you're wondering when somebody is going to stop me, it's unlikely. But you know what that does remind me of? Jim Carrey's 1993 movie, The Mask. Because in the movie, he says, somebody stop me. You know, that brings a good Photoshop to mind. What if you had Jim Carrey in like that iconic yellow zoot suit from The Mask, and it just had text that said nobody cared who I was till I put on the mask. I'm not saying it would do incredible numbers. I'm just throwing out there that it could be it could be fun. So I know you're like, why would you ignore that? Honestly, I feel like I forgot about the fact that we have Eve's Mascara because the rest of the run is going so well. And I think I'd rather keep Eve's Mascara chunking along here than take Blood Bag, but I digress. This is a really good run. Like, we're in a good spot. Obviously. Trying to think of like, I really, and anybody who's around my age can probably relate to this. If you look at, like, eras of TV, we definitely grew up in an era of TV where, like, the sitcom was king, right? Like, I don't know if I could name a television drama from before the year 2000 that captured anybody's attention. Like, ER maybe was kind of like a thing for a while, but my recognizance, you know, of the era is that, and admittedly it's probably biased because I was like a middle schooler in the year 2000, but, which is probably blowing your mind, because you're like, I was born in 2006. Yeah, that was my first year of college. But anyway, we're peers, or so, you know, something like that. It depends. When I'm giving lessons, I like to be considered an elder statesman. When we're talking about who's hip, I'm like, I'm young. Tucka, 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 tucka. Should use justice. Pick up justice. Don't want to use... Well, we can't really use potato peeler anymore. That could be good. But I really... I think of it as like... You know, in 2000-ish... People started to talk about, like, oh, The Sopranos and 6 Feet Under and stuff like that. Like, that's when, like, dramas, when prestige television sort of started to come about. And then, of course, you know, the enduring legacy of that has led to stuff like, you know, Breaking Bad and, you know, even television miniseries, I think, like Chernobyl and stuff like that. But the late 90s and early 2000s, even through to, like, I feel like How I Met Your Mother, was kind of like... the heyday of television sitcoms. Like, there were so many. Friends, Frasier, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, Yes Dear. There's like every stand-up comedian had like their own sitcom where it was like fat guy, hot wife. 2 kids, which he hates for some reason. It was a weird era. Some of them are... I mean, Everybody Loves Raymond is, you know... I actually like Ray Romano. I've gone through the Renaissance. When Everybody Loves Raymond aired, I was 13 years old, and I was like, the grandpa said, holy crap, this is hilarious. As I got a little older, you know, you kind of kill your idols, right? You're like, this is the worst show on television. Now I'm kind of like, I think as soon as I started seeing Ray Romano in other things, where he grew a beard, and occasionally said like a swear word, I was like, yo, this guy... He's like Ronin. He's gone off the grid. Don't, Deborah. Don't give me hope. I can't do it. Mouth can do it. Deborah. Deborah the Linguini. Hold on. Yes, and big yes, and big no, and yes. Okay, dude, this is we're cruising. This is easy money. But I feel like that era is definitely over. Like, are there any... No, you know what? There are still some 3-camera sitcoms on TV. Because I every once in a while, fate conspires to show me an episode of the Red State Tim Allen sitcom Last Man Standing. Politics aside, I can't believe that show's on television. But, you know, I guess it just goes to show you who's still watching television. But even then, you know, what's funny is you're like, yeah, 3-camera sitcoms are like, you know, a show that's shot in the same style as like How I Met Your Mother. In 2010, you were just like, this is TV. In 2020, you're like, this is amateur hour, right? I still feel like every show that's shot like The Office is going to look exactly like as dated in 10 years. Like right now, people are like, The Office, Parks and Rec, Modern Family. By like 2027, people are going to be like, why did we pretend that every comedy in 2010 to 2020 was real? I don't understand. Like, someone's gonna have to explain to the aliens that comb the earth after we're long gone, and be like, no, they're acting as if it's real, but it's not real. It's called a mockumentary, sweetheart. Best in show. Now that I think about it, I'm like, you know what's wild is to kind of be in a golden era, I should say, of Canadian television. Like, it blew my mind when Poops Creek, which I dare not say the word, even though I understand it's not a swear word in the context, but when it won all those Emmys, I was like, but it's Canadian. You gotta understand, you know, when a Canadian television program gets some attention, it's usually in the context of like, yeah, it's good for a Canadian show. I got a lot of national pride. If you watch these episodes, you know, talk a lot about what I consider to be Canada's, like, disproportionate high representation in a lot of the arts. You know, music, filmmaking, etc., etc. TV has never really been our strong suit. We got the Red-Green show, Letterkenny, I suppose, but Letterkenny's part of this new golden age. You got Letterkenny, Poops Creek, Trailer Park Boys, which admittedly has been around for a while. Even Kim's Convenience, which I gotta be honest with you, I kind of expected to be, Strange Attractor. This is a weird combination here. I kind of expected to be, like, pure garbage. And when I watched a few episodes, I was like, you know what? I think it's... I don't want to call it delightful, but, you know, it wasn't like I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is the bravest comedy I've ever seen. But I was like, this is a reasonably good time. It's very weird to be in, like, a golden age of Canadian television. It feels like something's wrong. Like, when people told me that Poops Creek was a good show, I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably, like, a good show, but, like, at any point do they go to corner gas? That's a little Canadian joke for you. You might not understand if you don't watch a lot of Canadian TV. Just seemed like one of those things that was like, you know, you watch it because of some kind of regional pride, but really you're like, does this compare to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Apparently the answer is kind of yes. What a weird episode, dude. I can't... This might be the first Isaac episode in history where I talked about a single medium the whole time. And we just cruised. I mean, we chunked it down here, dude. This is amazing. More like this, please. If this was on Netflix, I would give this a thumbs up. I would say, you know what? More like this. This isn't on Netflix, though. It's on YouTube. So if you watch this episode, you're going to get 75 videos recommended to you based on whatever I title it. So you better be careful. If I title this episode Air Fryer... Get ready for all of your related targeted advertisements to be air fryers. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!